Hello, 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 and welcome back to yet another week. This was on Twitter as well. Fridays are for Hearthstone indeed. And once again, it's the European pair back here once again, joined by Wita. How you doing, brother?
I am doing absolutely great today, man. Ready to get on with a bit of a, hopefully a good match here. We have Arcadia, again, as I was talking about last week, coached by one of my good friends, Lesmus. So again, obviously expecting good things to come. And obviously as well, I'm just excited to be back, guys, to talk about a European powerhouse coming at you right here, right now. So let's talk about the lineups real quick before we are going to be heading in to our starting match here. So lineup-wise, Whiteshadow has brought out an aggro hybrid Demon Hunter thing. It's a concept that has been kicking around a little bit. It's not really like a set in stone concept, but it's kind of a midway between aggro Demon Hunter and OTK Demon Hunter, and we will probably be seeing it since it's not been banned. Talking about what has been banned though, the Token Druid on Whiteshadow has been banned away, which leaves him with just a good old classic rogue list here, which is exactly mirrored to one that Pootis has. Good old classic aggro rogue with the pen flingers in there. And then we have a bit of an interesting hunter deck here. I get you classified as being face hunter, but a bit of an aggressive hunter deck that isn't Highlander hunter. On the side of Pootis, though, we have the Libram Paladin, which has been banned away. Then there is an Enraged Warrior, which has not been banned, to the surprise of you. I fear we're talking about it before we went live. And as we're talking about, he has the aggro rogue, which was like exactly 30 to the one that has been brought out here by Whiteshadow. And I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, the Token list that Pootis is playing is a bit different from the one that Whiteshadow is playing. But it obviously is not banned, so we're going to be seeing that one coming in shortly. Do you have any favorites to win the series just based on the lineups, Hyferia?
I mean, the Stealth Rogue is well, 50-50 since they're pretty much exactly similar. The Enraged Warrior, though, I do expect to get a win. I don't know. I think I slightly favor Pootis. The lineups from Whiteshadow, the mix between aggro and taking a little bit more of a step back can be so punishing if it doesn't work out properly. So I do think I'll favor Pootis. It's not massively, though.
So again, obviously, let's talk about these two players and their path so far as of right now. Whiteshadow has had a bit of a rough opener here. We are in the championship, which is worth noting as well here, but he is currently 0-3 after losses to DOJ, Knight, and WAP. On the other side of the field, though, Pootis is currently 2-1. Lost in the first week against Limberry 3-0, a bit of a rubble, but actually he won over WAP, who beat his teammate, right? And also did take win versus Noah SM. And it's interesting to see how this is actually going to pan out, right? Because again, we're talking about this every time we're commentating Conquest. We are playing Conquest, right? That pick order tends to not really matter as much as in other formats, and at the end of the day, right, you have to win with every deck. So obviously you can try to snipe like favorable matchups, but again, it doesn't really matter because in Conquest you're only as strong as your weakest deck. And I just kind of want to get started, as we are going to be queuing up here into the game very short. I'm not sure if it's on your screens as of right now. I am on my way into the spectator mode.
Yeah, exactly. You're only as strong as your weakest deck, indeed. And Whiteshadow, I do think, has that little bit of a weaker Ling, might not have all the cards or something like that he actually wants to complete the perfect deck selection. And that is going to be a massive problem already, since you do have to break through, and that could just explain that 0-3 record that he just wasn't really able to break through. And maybe he was trying to get his weakest link out of the way first, because then it's only the way up, right? You always want to feel good about what you're currently doing. And we do see the Demon Hunter versus the Enraged Warrior coming out first here, and well, Warrior just massively favors in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that it does lean towards the Warrior side of things. However, it is worth noting that with that alternative Il'gynoth win condition in there, this deck will have the opportunity to go for an alternate win condition And sorry for me just stopping for a second right here, as I'm wondering why we didn't develop the 2-3 over playing a 2-2 in the hero power. The 2-3 allows us 2 hero power and sets up for a perfect mana turn coming up on turn 3 here with the Wriggling Horror. So again, obviously playing on stream will come with specific challenges. Obviously it is a lot harder than just playing your games on your own, and you know, sometimes you just have a different thought about how the game should be played, and this could very well be the case right here.
And the Rage Warrior. Okay, we are back indeed. And what I was about to say is that the Enraged Warrior is incredibly good at fending off those early threats, fending off those pressurized situations. Now, as you said, with that win condition in there from Whiteshadow to potentially take it a little bit longer, and also the Polkel in hand, so the late game is somewhat settled for Whiteshadow. I still don't think it's really a favorable matchup, as this is probably going to trade nicely with that 2-3. No, actually, he's just going to give it a lot of attack and go face.
So this might look a little bit odd, right? I would probably be a little bit in favor of just developing onto the board. However, it is a very troublesome minion to deal with for Whiteshadow, who doesn't run any consume magic. So there's no way for Whiteshadow to straight up deal with this 6-5 without having to give up quite a significant amount of board presence here. But a single trade here with the Wriggling Horror, hero power coming down with the Fellfight Deadeye, and Twin as well as Second Slash will clean it up here and bring the board control into the favor of Whiteshadow here for just a second. And you have to sit back and wonder, was that really the play? Yes, obviously Whiteshadow is at 18, which is a pretty low life total. However, it's worth noting that you just gave up, like Pootis just gave up an Inner Rage as well as a Shield of Honor. So the direct face damage that would be needed to come out with a potential combo turn with that Grommash or with that Cochrane lead have just been hammered quite drastically.
And 2 Battle Rages in hand as well. Well, if you can't really develop a board, good luck getting proper Battle Rages off, since there will just be a lot, or just no draw whatsoever. And he decides to go for the poke out, wants to get those high mana minions in the top of the deck already. And well, the highest one is a Skull of Gul'dan, which it will be drawn, and you should be able to draw more. But from there on now, is it really going to be proper, as there is a board clear that comes out, or a little bit of a reduction in health. He's just trying to face race though.
Yeah, and obviously the face race plan here is a bit of a commitment. Absolutely, right? And obviously the Saga Sub will come down here, slow down development just a slight tad. But again, this boils down to the fact that with that overextension onto the Warmal Challenger here, just left Pootis with very few options to really contest the board. If you're talking about Skull Gul'dan is going to come down right now, you know guaranteed which cards are going to be drawn from it. There is, however, the issue that by playing the Loki Poke, that was something I wanted to touch in the previous turn, this Still Stepper now is going to be dead on till the following turn and cannot be used to push the extra damage. And now the question beckons, is Whiteshadow going to, like, he's just going to disregard this Bomb Ring, which I think is the correct line of play, and just try to smoke down Pootis here. And again, that Armor Smith top deck here could be incredibly huge. It's probably what we are going to be. It's probably what Pootis has been looking for this entire game, and can pair that up alongside the Lord Barrow to just reset the board. Issue being, and in the process, he will clean up his own board, which is not optimal by any imagination. However, if he decides to go for something like the Battle Rage here, which just does look like he is going to be doing. Or am I missing something?
Maybe I have no clue what he's currently thinking about. He's thinking about the Battle Rage, wants to draw a massive amount of cards, whether that's the proper line of play, because, well, it is a little bit of an aggro Demon Hunter. So just managing to hold on to those early turns, and now you have still quite a bit of damage. Demon Hunter is definitely a class that can just generate so much power out of hand. Stilt Stepper is going to be difficult though, but he has a Twin Slice and another Skull and a Sun Fury, Cane of Sun Fury, which is three damage to the face. Now it could just be a game over almost. He does have a lot of armor though.
Oh, it's what I've done right there, as I didn't want to interrupt you though, but that top deck of the Bloodborne Brood absolutely close to pretty much just saving the game, because yes, the Skyrider came into the same hand as well at that point in time, but the Skyrider wouldn't have allowed you to deal with the lock-kill, port-kill body, and right now, Whiteshadow is staring down a board that is going to be quite hard to really dissect here. And even with the Il'gynoth plus Cane Sun Fury, he's only going to be pushing 15. And yes, it had been fantastic, it had been exact lethal if it wasn't for the fact that this Almasmith just been topping up Pootis' life total. And you gotta question, I understand the need to stay alive here. Okay, he's just gonna stop pushing the damage, but you're just still on board like this, no?
Yes.
I mean, obviously the two of us, we know that there is in fact a Cochran lead in hand that's gonna be swinging in for lethal, right? Because the thing is that when you play Il'gynoth, you deal the damage, however, you do not heal, right? So, still, Vonna coming off the top of the deck, you always just play the top deck lethal. It's the easiest way to soldier your opponent. It's the run. We've had that around in the Danish House community forever. And in Rage Warrior, I feel like it's been around forever, and it just takes yet another win here. Pootis going up 1-0 in this best out of 5.
He didn't even go for the bomb lethal SMH, man. I was hoping for that. I'm getting a little bit of RNG in there. Up in the BM that little bit more, because he still had the warrior in his hand as well. So he could have, in theory, but hey, he decides to do it safe. Or the Corcoran Elite, not a warrior. That's the entire class. But he decides to play it safe, and that is game one, going towards Pootis, and he's just soaring on. He's looking to sweep it home very quickly.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the lineup from Pootis, right, you're looking at probably the 4 strongest aggressive decks, if you can call them that, refer to them as that, in the metagame, right? Obviously the Rogue, incredibly aggressive. The Paladin, not so much. The Warrior, again, can play it very aggressively. We saw right that it was a turn 8 lethal, I do believe, thereabouts. And obviously it's Snogan, we all know what it can do, right? It just goes on the board, creates some absolutely absurd boards in the early game that you sometimes just cannot deal with. And again, I feel like at this point in time, the downfall of Whiteshadow is actually the fact that this is not a true mirror matchup. Had this been the same 120 cards across both players, this would have been an interesting one, because it would have come down to a lot of queuing up and a lot of other real things to note in terms of how, like, the skill of play for the players, right, would have been a pretty determining factor in most of these mirrors. But again, when you bring a lineup that is as strong as Pootis, where it's just like all-star deck after all-star deck, and you have some more vibrant deck choices from Whiteshadow, I would like to call them, you are expecting to see things like this. However, this is a fairly solid rogue hand as of right now already. Walking Infiltrator, Subsecting Short, and the Prize Planner is going to be deciding to keep it as well, but on the other side of the board, that is a Lightning Bloom with a Glowfly Swarm in hand.
And he definitely needs that good start as well, because this matchup massively favors Token, about 70% to 30 on the Token Druid side. So he needs a good starting hand. He needs to get off properly. Well, with a Lightning Bloom, there might just be some ridiculous turn. And the coin obviously in his hand. There is potential, but he needs a little bit more to actually make it fruitful. And Savage Roar, well, that would have been a very nice draw had he actually developed a board. But right now, that's not going to come in handy whatsoever. It's just another spell in the hand. And it's a good start for Whiteshadow. As I said, he definitely needs it. 2 cutting classes in hand. Relatively expensive.
I mean, coloring classes do tend to be quite expensive, right? So it would make sense. I don't know. I actually never have taken a cutting class, so something that I, however, wait, this is actually not as strong as it seems, by the way. So right now, by playing this Lunar Eclipse, Pootis would make 1 less 2/2. So actually, what Pootis would be doing here is actually just taking a trade for Whiteshadow while it's putting less pressure on the board, making Whiteshadow take fewer decisions here. And I guess he does land on that, but again, this is just the 4 2/2s. And yes, obviously we can see that the hand from Whiteshadow is fairly dead, and he is unable to deal with any of these minions coming through right now. Oh, this is like, you have to swindle to come at a prize planner to get down to 2 in the pot. This feels so bad. It really does, because again, the sooner you can get this self-sharpening shot on the board, the sooner you'll be able to really get these cutting classes out and start cycling through your deck, and that's just not going to be this turn. Deadly Poison, fantastic pickup for the following turn, will allow you to at least start reducing those cutting classes down to 1 mana, and there we go. Board somewhat taking under control, and as we do now, Pootis has nothing to do in terms of mana, right? Because he's just straight up overloaded for 2, so this is just going to be sending the 4 damage to the face, and this turn just goes directly back to Whiteshadow. Now the question beckons, what was the purpose of going in this early when you didn't really have a way to really capitalize on any of it if, like, some of the minions got, like, you know, taken out, right? Again, Whiteshadow here, pretty straightforward play, nice board control. Again, that is the name of the game in this matchup. Cutting class should keep him topped up for the next turn.
Yeah, if it was 1 turn later and he could Power of the World directly the turn after, then yeah, sure, it would have been a decent play, but right now he just didn't have the follow-up thinking, oh, hey, we're going to go for the turn right away.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? They made the Eagles!
Let's go! Not a repeat from last week.
I haven't really experienced this many Eagles from an American since I listened to classical radio, you know. Is Hotel California gonna come out of the stereo at some point, you know? Like, obviously no DMCA claims, we can't have that, but yeah, that's a bit of this is a bit of an experience, you know, and it's looking quite alright here for Whiteshadow, right? Double stealth minion here, can slowly but surely start putting together that damage. Cutting class, swindle, this hand's gonna cycle out itself, and you're looking at 11 damage at least over the course of the next 2 turns from this weapon.
Oof, that is going to be rough to face, and well, all the music blasting, all the guns blazing, pickup trucks driving all around because the Americans or the Eagles are still alive. And Nature Studies picked up. It's not really going to do anything just yet. Wanting to Lunar Eclipse first, and potentially, well, either at least not play the Nature Studies, because that would just be a waste of 1 mana. He's thinking about the Savage Roar, looking to push damage early on, and just wanting to kind of put Whiteshadow in a position where he's a little bit afraid of actually dying, where it doesn't really have that many ways to push damage if it doesn't have a board. There we go, he does Power of the World, up on those stats, getting a lot of damage right now. And the Mark of the World, looking to just make sure that he has some extra damage on board and some extra health as well, because as I said, if there's no damage on board or no minions on board, you're going to struggle to get through. Now on 12 health, you're not really sweating profusely yet.
Not really, right? And then now, why should I have to figure out a way to deal with these 2 5-falls? Because if they're getting left up here, you're pretty sure you're dead at this point in time, right? So hopefully looking for something like an Eviscerate would probably be the premier option right there. And as we talk about the double, 2 of them shows up. They come in pairs today, apparently. You know, it's a 2-for-1. Read Extra, all about it. And get this 90 Poison trade plus Eviscerates. Unless I'm missing Lethal, which very well could have happened here, but I'm only counting 15 as of right now. Would be 19 with the Eviscerate. So it's not lethal here, meaning that this board still has to be controlled. And Eviscerate onto an Eagle, and the 5-1 should be trading in here as well, as long as you have the board with the Lunar Eclipse out of the way. You know there's close to no way for Pootis to take back board control, and it's looking like it's going to be all tied up here as Whiteshadow has lethal damage presented on the board, and Pootis has no way to answer it.
No minions either. And yeah, good luck, Pootis. Good luck with your token druid if you don't have any tokens. And this really shows that early decision of not having something to follow up and just wanting to get some board presence is really nipping him in the butt now, because you see he has nothing, no fuel left to go, only buff up cards, only gasoline, and well, currently he was on fire himself, nothing he could do about it. Pootis drops a game with a deck that he should have been winning against. Let me repeat myself, 70 to 30%.
Yeah, so the thing is that stats only go so far, right? That is something you need to consider. A lot of the time, it is down to player skill on the deck as well, and also like just the rogue deck. It's just one of those decks where it's just that fast that sometimes it just sneaks out the win. And this is one of those games where the overwhelming amount of damage just came through. And again, it was like. I do feel like there was probably a line where it is just a way to go in with that, with the 5-mana spell, right? Because like at that point in time, it was just too early to fall to still really do anything, especially when you're already facing down minion on board. But alas, we're going to be queuing it up right now, and this is a bit of a face hunter deck, but it still doesn't really feel like face hunter of Yonder Year, but. Another go around here with this token druid for Pootis at least.
Yeah, I mean, Whiteshadow, he's now got a win with, in my opinion, his most consistent deck probably, the Stealth Rogue coming in, but then you have a little bit of a weird tempo hunter and a little bit of a weird aggro / late game, whatever kind of demon hunter. He's going to be struggling from this point on, and we do see in the previous results, if he did stack up with those kind of decks, the most he got was 1 win, and that could just be with that Stealth Rogue. To be fair, it's a pretty decent hand to at least fend off some pressure early on with the tour guides and the Dwarven Sharpshooter. And then on the side of Pootis, once again, his starting hand, not really what he was looking for.
Debatable gameplay coming through. I don't know, like I feel like I just wanted to have this 1-3 on the board. Like, yes, it's absolutely incredible to have this ability to ping off any tokens generated, but when it really boils down to it, like, what do you even deal with here? And I expect it to be Lunar Eclipse into Fungal Fortunes. There is a case for playing bees because it will allow you to divert some of the attacks that will come through from this Imprisoned Felmor. It makes it a 25% chance to hit the face rather than a 100% chance, and the 1/1 tanks 1 for the team.
Honorable mention for the B, taking 1 for the team here, absorbing damage for the face, and Pootis, he just needs to look for those proper draws. The token generation is what he's looking for. With the Fungal Fortunes, that is something that he can be looking for. He just wants to hold on a little bit longer now, at least get away some board presence. But now surely he's looking to get something going and get some more things in the hand, and does end up playing the Fungal Fortunes. Hopes to take a lot of damage this turn, or at least, well, 7 and the hero power probably to the face. He does end up finding a Glowfly Swarm with it.
The Glowfly Swarm obviously being a big pickup here, but the Gibbling being discarded is a bit of a... It's not a disaster, right? But it's a bit of a downfall. However, what might be disastrous is that top deck of the Dragonbane turn 4 tour guide discount all stacked up as well. 5 damage guaranteed to the face with the trade. It's actually going to be 10 because of the fact that the Imprisoned Felmor can come in and say hi with the swing. And now, obviously, Pootis has a pretty good Glowfly Swarm all set up here. Issue really is, though, this board, like with the Dwarven Sharpshooter still on the board, this is still a pretty easy board to dissect here for Whiteshadow, right? So, kill command coming through as well, looking starting to stand down at 14. Actually, no, there's no beast on board even because the Felmor is a demon, so only 12 or 15. But again, Dragonbane slowly but surely just making sure that no Glowfly Bee or whatever they're called are surviving. They're just called Glowflies. No Glowfly will survive. I don't even think like Whiteshadow's going to be pulling out the jar and, you know, bringing them home as you like do. Don't you do that with Glowflies? I feel like I've seen it in movies at one point where people like they collect Glowflies in like plastic and like glass jars and bring them home for lighting. But that might just be movie magic. Also, I don't know.
Well, no, it's also when they're moving through that creepy forest, because then the scene is really dim, and you know you have that tiny bit of light coming out of those glowflies. Well, those glowflies, they are no more. They've suffocated in the jar, and this time under the pressure of an imprisoned Felmor and Dragonbane, they didn't stand much of a chance. They just got absolutely demolished. It's still not looking great for Pootis, though. He was able to divert some damage coming into the face for that turn. That's all he was really able to do, is extend, since, well, pretty much the exact same board pressure is still there, then with a little bit less health, which makes it easier to deal with. Arbor up, he would have loved to have that when there were actually minions on board. Now he's able to play the Marsul and potentially Arbor up. Still, it's questionable.
The other clips stream away Guardians here is a way of going wide on the board as well, right? That is something you need to consider. But again, this Suave and Sharpshooter has just been on the board forever. And again, we'll just allow Whiteshadow to minimize the amount of targets that they need to do it on the board. Freezing Trap top deck here is actually surprisingly okay, as weird as it sounds. Obviously, because like when these minions are lifesteal minions on the board, you don't really have to care too much about leaving one of them up, because you do know at that point in time that like there's at least going to be some 5 damage just goes face here. And this point in time, do you even care? Obviously, we can see that Solar Eclipse plus Arbor Up combination in the hand will be quite strong, even with that Freezing Trap in play as of right now here. And it's very obvious. Whiteshadow says, you know what? I'm playing Hunter. I'm going to launch my Inner Smork, and I'm just going to leave you to deal with it to the best of your ability. However, with the best of their abilities, Solar Eclipse, Arbor Up. You've seen it before. You know you love it. You know you hate it, which side of the coin you're on. If you're Whiteshadow right now, you probably quite hate it. But this is a bit of a board coming through. Arbor Up, good card. And obviously, Freezing Trap, as we're talking about, it's not going to be as impactful because the sport wasn't dissected. So there's still going to be a 10 HP gain here overall, like amongst like almost a 20 point swing. The main minion here in the deck of the Dragonbane has been taken away, and Pootis just says, you know what, I'm gonna set up the lethal here. I don't think you can kill me with this combination of cards in hand. And we know this is gonna be a slow, what looked so secure for a second here for Whiteshadow, it just kind of, you know, like fell through, you know, like sand in the hand. You just can't keep a hold of it.
Yeah, that is what you get with aggro decks, where if you reach the late game and Pootis gets a turn like that, where you're just able to generate so many stats on the board while you only have 2 cards in your hand, one of them being a draw card, which you can't really play right now. It would have been a good combination with that Lord Keeper, but indeed he does come out with a concede, recognizes that he is in a worse position, and that is a second win for Pootis, who then moves on to that final deck, Stealth Rogue. So we won't be seeing a mirror matchup today.
We will not be seeing a mirror matchup. However, I do somewhat struggle. Obviously, we do know that the Druid was banned away, so it's just the Demon Hunter and this Hunter that has to take on the absolute menace here of probably the strongest deck in the format as of right now. A lot of people saying it's Brewing Paladin. Some people still swear by Demon Hunter in the OTK version again, but like, I don't think there's any debate about this aggro rogue being one of the best decks around. And as we can see right now here, this hand from Whiteshadow isn't that slouchy either though. So Intrepid Initiate plus Dormant Infestation, Explosive Trap, surprisingly good in the matchup as well, but I don't think you might regret not keeping it around, but I can understand why you want to get a stronger tempo play. All things considered here, but Initiate into a Dormant Infestation here with pretty much no way to deal with it from the rogue side of things, unless Spy Mistress Coin Prize Plunderer comes down. That would be the biggest of big brain plays, and I can see a very strong case for it, because you have that. You have the Sneaky Delinquent coming down from the top of the hand here. So whatever early development that Whiteshadow was hoping to get this game, it's slowly but surely starting to slip away. And now that Explosive Trap is looking pretty juicy, but the issue is that it's just no longer there.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. Not expecting to have that much pressure on the board, or at least Whiteshadow regarding Pootis. Here we are, a lot of pressure coming in on the board. Freezing Trap, sure, it's going to fend off 2 damage, because I must assume that Pootis will play the Prize Plunderer first. But still, it's just not looking great for Whiteshadow here. There's so much pressure on the board, and the Deadly Poison together with a self-sharpening sword. That is a tongue twister and a half, by the way. It's just going to create more damage, even though he's not able to play it this turn.
You know, the good old triple S, as we often refer to as, just because, you know, it's the triple S, you know, self-sharpening sword. It's kind of hard to say, you know, say that 10 times in a row quickly without falling over your words, will you? But I don't know why we did not develop the self-sharpening sword as of right now. The thing is that, obviously the next turn, like, if you, like there's no weapon rule in the deck for Whiteshadow, right? There is no reason not to develop it because of the fact that the play here with the wolf walking infiltrator versa, should I say, plus the Grey Sage, which is the setup play coming through here from Pootis, is still an option on turn 4. But as of right now, we just don't have a self-sharpening sword in play. The main component of this entire deck, the engine almost, like the main way of closing out games, is not active right here. And again, yes, the deck is, I wouldn't say it won, because it definitely isn't, but we do like realize that Pootis in a pretty strong position here, and it's just deciding not to go self-sharpening sword plus deadly poison, I guess.
Also use the hero power first and use that remaining charge and only then develop the self-sharpening sword. I mean, it is utilizing all your components to the best of their ability, but sometimes you also just have to say, you know what, I don't care about that one charge, we're just going in no matter what, sure, whatever. Now there's a 3-3 on the board, 26 health still for Pootis. Plenty of time, plenty of space to develop that triple S. I'll just go with triple S, not going to dare to say it again because I know how it worked out last time. And Whiteshadow, he recognized that he has to just, well, push face right here, put him down to 19. Triple S draw is not going to help him whatsoever.
So let's talk about follow-on effects, okay? Obviously, we're going to see now that the nitrogen poison does mean that this does a bit of boosting here, but obviously, yes, there's a lot of damage coming through right now, guaranteed. But like, there was a world here where Pootis would have been forced to like try to kill this Felmore, and that would have been a possibility if they had used the extra swing on the weapon on the previous turn. But that was obviously not going to be the angle here. They are very fortunate again in a sense with some of the draw, but and we're talking about how to exploit this deck is right. This is now a 6 attack, so that's 11 needed, like 3 damage needed from the top of the deck. And again, it's worth noting that with the Grey Sage coming through from draw next turn, that is a pretty likely outcome. But if the draws like they don't hit next turn, there is a significant amount of damage being projected on the opposite side of the board, as well as 2 draws from this Voracious Reader coming through, and that Dragonbane is going to start showing his abilities as well. Secret Passage, though, is a massive pickup here. Question is if you go Grey Sage first, because again, the draw you're looking for is either going to be, you're looking for Eviscerate, you're looking for Cutting Class, you're looking for that Sinister Strike. So again, even another Nitro Boost Poison as it comes through to the hand here would have been an option, but again, you need a card to activate it. And Eviscerate is found, though. Again, it's just like this is the disgusting card draw engine of this deck. One reason why it's so potent. I just look at these cards coming through. Like, Pootis drew like 4 or 5 cards that turned on turn 6 while still having a Secret Passage in hand. That is just why this deck is so potent and why you're talking about you probably would expect to see it banned, right? Because it's just such a strong deck and it just comes from under you very, very often, just takes you by storm.
Oh my word, I don't know how that just drew so many cards. The Stealth Throw coming in so massive. The Hunter just having absolutely no answer to it. It's just being forced into a position where he just has to take damage. And he was looking at that card draw as well and basically hunkered down and said, oh boy, this isn't going to be pretty. And guess what? Spoiler alert, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it's not really a spoiler alert since it was at the end of the game, but it wasn't pretty. And that is a 3-1 victory. Once again, Whiteshadow only being able to take 1 victory here.
Yeah, again, obviously, it's worth knowing that obviously, again, it's all about development as well, right? And obviously, I haven't watched any of his games on stream before, so I can't really like attest too much to it. But obviously, again, it is one of those series where if you go down through the VOD and you'll start looking at specific turns, which I know they are doing at Arcadia, you can actually start looking at specific plays that you ended up making, and you ended up making in a game, right? And if you do not want to make any mistakes when you are setting up anything regarding to esports, you just try and check out metaprogaming.gg, because Meta is a full-service esports management developmental and consulting company. You know, it provides esports coaching, you know. So again, if you want to up those skills, you can get in there. It offers college esports management as well, and optional arena design and equipment. So again, if you anything you need, pretty much, you know, metaprogaming.gg.
Exactly. Anything you need, metaprogaming.gg. You make sure to go visit them. A massive thanks to our sponsors, of course, because that is what makes Hearthstone Fridays possible, and any of the other games that we host as well. But that will be it for this game after a 3-1 victory from Pootis. Well deserved as well, making sure that everything stayed within his control enough to close out every single game. And that will be the end of the evening for me. Definitely not the end of the evening for Wita or in general the Hearthstone cast. We will be back as soon as possible. See you in a little bit.